Have you ever sat in a job interview, or maybe you're already sitting at your desk right now, and heard a phrase that made something in your gut twist just a little? Something that sounded fine on the surface, maybe even positive, but left you with this nagging feeling that there was something else going on underneath it. Stick around, because today I'm breaking down 9 things that bad companies say to their employees, and once you know what to listen for, you will never hear them the same way again. Hey, welcome back. I'm Dre, and on this channel we talk about the stuff nobody teaches you about surviving and winning inside the corporate world, the systems, the language, the psychology that companies use, and how you can see through it instead of falling for it. If this is your first time here, consider hitting subscribe and turning on notifications, because we put out videos like this regularly, and you do not want to miss the ones that could save your career or your sanity. Before I get into the list, a quick disclaimer. Not every company that uses one of these phrases is secretly toxic. Language is not proof of anything on its own. What matters is the pattern, the context, and whether the words match the actual behavior you're seeing. Think of this less as a courtroom and more as a radar. And one more thing, I am not an employment lawyer, and nothing in this video is legal advice. Just a lot of pattern recognition from watching how companies actually operate. If you're dealing with something serious at work, a real employment attorney is always worth a conversation. Okay, let's get into it. Number 1, we work hard and we play hard. On paper, this sounds fun, almost like a badge of honor. In practice, this phrase is usually code for long hours, unrealistic targets, and a culture where burnout is treated like a personality trait instead of a problem. Picture sitting across from a hiring manager who says this with a big smile, and what they are really describing is a place where checking your inbox at 10 at night is considered normal, and where the people who get praised in meetings are the ones who answered a message on a Sunday. The play hard part rarely happens on company time either. It is usually an after-hours happy hour or a weekend retreat that you are quietly expected to attend, unpaid, on your own time, because not showing up gets noticed and gets remembered when review season rolls around. If you hear this phrase in an interview, ask directly what the average week actually looks like, how often people work weekends, and what happens to the people who do not want to play as hard as they work. Pay attention to how that question lands, because a defensive or vague answer usually tells you more than the answer itself. Number 2, we are like a family here. This one sounds warm until you actually think about it. A family does not put you on a performance improvement plan. A family does not lay you off the moment a quarter looks a little soft. What this phrase is often used for is guilt. It is a way of asking you to sacrifice more of your time, your energy, and your boundaries because good family members do not clock out at 5. And good family members certainly do not ask for overtime pay. You will often see this language paired with expectations that you cover a coworker's shift without complaint, or stay late because the team needs you, framed as loyalty rather than what it actually is, which is unpaid labor. The truth is, a healthy workplace is not your family. It is a professional relationship with mutual obligations. And the moment a company blurs that line, it is usually asking for more than it is willing to give back. Real families do not require a 2-week notice to leave. Number 3, you'll get promoted down the line, we promise. This is one of the oldest tricks in the book, especially during salary negotiations. A company dangles a future promotion or raise in front of you to justify paying you less right now, telling you to just be patient and prove yourself first. The problem is, promises made in a hallway or over a coffee chat are worth exactly nothing if they are not in writing. Managers leave, priorities shift, budgets get frozen, and suddenly the person who made you that promise is gone, and nobody else feels bound by it because technically nothing was ever agreed to on paper. This same pattern shows up for employees already inside a company too, where the promotion always seems to be 6 months away, no matter how many 6-month periods actually pass. If a company genuinely intends to promote you, they can put a timeline and specific criteria in writing. If they will not do that, the promotion was never really the plan. It was just a way to keep you patient and productive. Number 4, you are replaceable. Some companies say this outright, thinking it will motivate you to work harder out of fear, treating intimidation like a management strategy. Others say it more subtly, through constant monitoring, harsh discipline for small mistakes, or a general sense that you could be swapped out tomorrow and nothing would change, where you feel like you are walking on eggshells rather than doing your actual job. What this actually reveals is a company that sees people as interchangeable parts rather than as contributors with real value. And that mindset tends to show up everywhere, from how feedback is delivered to how little effort goes into keeping good people around. And here is the uncomfortable truth. If a company treats you like you are replaceable, the healthiest response is to actually become replaceable to them by building skills and options that make you valuable somewhere else, on your terms, so the fear they are relying on simply stops working on you. Before we go further, if you are getting something out of this so far, drop a comment and let me know which one of these you have actually heard at a job, because I read every single one and it helps me know exactly what to cover in future videos. All right, let's keep going. Number 5, we all wear a lot of hats here. This phrase shows up constantly in smaller companies and startups, and sometimes it is genuinely true and totally fine, especially in the earliest stages of a company where everyone genuinely is figuring things out together. But watch for it in a company that has been operating for 5, 6, 7 years and is clearly not an early stage startup anymore, and yet still leans on this phrase every time a new role gets posted. At that point, wearing a lot of hats usually just means you are doing 2 or 3 jobs for the salary of one, because the company either cannot or will not hire properly for the roles it actually needs, and would rather stretch existing employees thin than invest in proper staffing. If you hear this phrase, ask exactly what the role covers day to day and get specific, because vague answers here are a warning sign that the job description you are being handed is not the job you will actually be doing. Number 6, we only hire the best of the best. This phrase sounds flattering, like you are joining some elite team, and it works because most of us want to believe we are talented enough to earn that label. In reality, it is often used to justify demanding more from you while offering less in return. Because the unspoken assumption is that top talent should be grateful just for the opportunity to be in the room. If a company genuinely believes it hires elite performers, that belief should show up in the compensation, in the resources you are given, and in how mistakes are handled, not just in the job posting language. Before you take this one at face value, it is worth checking independent reviews of the company to see whether current and former employees actually describe a culture that matches that description, or whether the reality looks a lot more ordinary once you get past the recruiting pitch. Number 7, and this one pairs closely with number 6, we are always hiring. On the surface, this can look like healthy growth, and sometimes it genuinely is, especially at a company that is scaling quickly and adding brand new roles. But at an established company that has been around for years, a position that is constantly listed as open is usually a sign of a revolving door rather than expansion. People are leaving faster than the company can replace them, and that turnover is rarely random. It is usually tied to management, workload, or pay. If you are interviewing for a role that seems to always be posted, it is worth directly asking how long the last few people in that position stayed and why they left, and watching closely for how comfortable the interviewer is answering that question. Number 8, We will call you back once things turn around. This one usually comes after a layoff, often from a company that positioned itself as a family right up until the moment it needed to cut costs, and then let people go with very little warning or support. Then, when business improves, that same company reaches back out expecting loyalty and gratitude, as if nothing happened, as if you did not have to scramble to cover rent or find new health coverage in the meantime. It is worth asking yourself honestly whether you actually want to go back to an employer that showed you exactly how quickly it would let you go the moment things got difficult, and whether anything has actually changed since then, or whether you would simply be signing up for Route 2. A company's actions during hard times tell you far more about its values than anything it says during the good ones. And number 9, look at all our perks and amenities. This is the free snacks, the ping pong table, the fancy coffee machine, the casual dress code, all presented like they make up for everything else, almost like a highlight reel during the office tour. And to be fair, perks are not inherently bad. Plenty of great companies have them too, alongside fair pay and reasonable hours. The problem is when perks are used as a distraction, a shiny layer meant to cover up long hours, low pay, or a genuinely toxic environment underneath. Something to point to when a candidate asks what makes the culture great. A ping pong table has never once fixed a bad manager, and it will never replace fair compensation or a healthy culture. If the perks are doing a lot of the talking in an interview, pay closer attention to everything else that is not being said, because that is usually where the real answer is hiding. So there you have it, 9 phrases that on their own might mean nothing, but together, especially when several of them show up in the same interview or the same team meeting, start to paint a pretty clear picture. The common thread running through almost every one of these is a company asking you for more time, more loyalty, more sacrifice, while offering vague promises, guilt,